Hey, what's up guys? Rampedi here. The final week of the World Cup. Was that Ronaldo's final international game? Brazil, England out? And can Morocco do it? Gotta talk about it. Let's go.
That's how it goes?
They keep asking about the best when they know it's me.
Okay.
Asking about the rest when they know it's me.
Straight in, I guess.
You know it's me.
There were a number of surprises this past weekend in the World Cup. Let's start off with the first one. Brazil taking on Croatia. I gotta tell you, man, I really do think Croatia surprised Brazil. Brazil did not expect them to press as high as they did. They were pressed high. They forced Brazil to be uncomfortable within the back line as they were passing from the back. And I have to say is that Croatia worked together. They really did work together. They showed the unity that they have. They defended together as well. And one thing I have to say, watching that game, as the game was going by and it's getting closer to extra time, was I felt like this Croatian midfield is so underrated. You know, it's really underrated. You can't underestimate the engine that team has. They can run forever. You got a Modric that's sitting there in the midfield. He's 37 years old, but he just can't stop running. And this team already faced an extra time, and now they're going extra time again with Brazil. But this is, for me, the part where Brazil loses it. They keep knocking on the door. They keep knocking, but in their knocking, they seem to be too predictable, making it too easy for Croatia to defend, having to take it out on the wings. And eventually, Neymar says, you know what? Give me the ball. Let me go try win it. And he goes and does it. And he goes past the defenders, past the goalkeeper. He scores. There's 15 minutes to go. I must remind everybody, there's 15 minutes to go before the game comes to a conclusion. And for some reason, Brazil show their arrogance, show their naivety. You know, Tite brought on Fred. You know, Fred is like a midfielder, the defensive midfielder. He's supposed to stabilize things, but he didn't. And the goal, in the transition, as you look at the goal, Fred is one of the most forward players on the other side in the attacking half, leaving Brazil with not many numbers to defend. And eventually, Croatia pushes up and they get the equalizer. And I think for me, when it goes into penalties, that's when you know Livakovic is going to come alive again. You saw him against Japan. He's going to do it again. And the number of saves that he made was unbelievable. But the one thing I also pick up from this game is the coach, Tite. I think he was exposed. I think he showed that maybe he was not up to this level. When you have that kind of quality within that side, you have to be able to see the game out. I think the first mistake he made, bringing up Vinicius, I didn't understand that. He brought on Pedro, the striker. And when you look at throughout the extra time, what did he do? Not much that I can remember. And then being in the lead, I think this is the moment where you have to take the big call and take Neymar off. Because of course he's going to want to grab another goal. Of course he's going to want to stay on. Of course he is the talisman. But take Neymar off. Fabinho. Do whatever you can to make sure you see the game through. And that didn't happen. Tactically as well. Poor game management. And that's why he stepped down. He said he would, but he stepped down. And obviously, when you have those type of players, you just have to win. And I just think he only knows one way of playing. And that's just being on the front foot. And that's it. Special praise. I would love to just say some special praise to Neymar. The goal that he scored, he equaled Pele's record. And he's tied with Pele with the number of goals, 77. The question was, will he ever play for Brazil again? Before the tournament, he spoke about the fact that this might just be his last tournament. And maybe playing for Brazil might be too taxing, as well as having to be the talisman there and then going back to PSG and playing there too. And I think he will. I think he will. I think you're just one goal shy from becoming the record goal scorer for Brazil, that type of nation. And I think the Copa America that's coming next is something we will see him at. At another World Cup, I just don't think so. Another player that I'd like to praise, this time on the Croatia side, Luka Modric, 37 years old. I mean, when you're 37 and then you still considered a key player at Real Madrid and as well as your national side, that means you're really, really good. And he continues to lift his game. I think the way that he reads the game as well is something that I'm starting to fall in love with. And I took some time to sort of put him in that bracket. You know, there's a special bracket you have for midfielders. There's Zidane there, there's Iniesta there, there's Xavi there. It's special, that bracket. You just don't throw anybody in it. But when someone who does it this long and who does it this beautiful as well, I have to say, I think he's up there. I think he's definitely up there. I think he's one of the best midfielders of our generation. And that's my plaudits to him. Netherlands versus Argentina. A fiery game. A game that had a lot of intensity within the game. You could have seen players being sent off, but that was not the case. And strange enough, when you go into the first half, I thought Argentina controlled the game. They had all the possession. And for some reason, Netherlands' game plan was so bad that in the whole of the first half, they had 0 shots on target. They were not doing anything. Not doing anything to Argentina. And for some reason, they're sitting back. They're paying Argentina too much respect. When you pay a team like that too much respect, that is going to get Messi on the ball. You see the pass that Messi played to Molina. I mean, there's only one player that I can think of right now that can play a pass like that. I mean, he's got the ball and he's running towards defenders. And he's not even looking at Molina at all. But like, Molina's making this run. This fullback is making this run. And for some reason, without even looking, he does the no-look pass and he finds him. And you're just like, huh? I mean, he split the whole defense of Netherlands as well. And crazy enough, you go into the second half, Netherlands didn't change it. They stuck the same way. But Memphis Depay wasn't doing anything. You know, Steven Bergwijn wasn't doing much either. And Argentina, with all the position that they have, they carry on going forward. And when you have a team like that that's close to the edge of your box, you're going to concede penalties because they're just so good. And that's what happened. Messi taking the penalty, lifting his tally up once again, his 4th goal of the tournament. And, you know, I spoke about Tite, right? Not being able to make changes and tactically being poor. But Van Gaal showed his class, man. I have to say, I think he showed his class. He changed it completely right after they went 2-0 down. He went direct. He brought on Weghorst and as well as Luke de Jong. 2 tall strikers and straightforward. It was get the ball out wide, let's cross it in. Get the ball out wide, let's cross it in. And that's what it was. And for some reason, the moment Weghorst scores the first goal, suddenly Argentina just lose their way. Suddenly they can't manage a game. Suddenly they're all over the place. And they just couldn't handle it. And eventually you got that it's going into extra time. It's added time. It's a few seconds left. And the audacity for Netherlands to try a free kick like that was unbelievable. Weghorst gets his second one. When it goes into extra time, the one thing that surprised me about Netherlands was the fact that you had your foot on Argentina's throat. Like, that was it. Keep the long balls going, but they didn't. And for some reason then, Argentina grabs control of the game. When you keep the ball on the floor, that's Argentina's game. In the air, you could just see that they were struggling. But it leads on to penalties, and Martinez steps up, the former Arsenal goalkeeper, made the big decision to go to Aston Villa to get game time, and now he's the starting goalkeeper for Argentina. And the thing about him is, where it all changed for him was the fact that Bernd Leno got that injury, 2 seasons back. And once he got that injury, he stepped in and he won the FA Cup with Arsenal. And he's gone on to do bigger and better things as well, having to win the Copa America. And he saved Van Dijk's penalty. I mean, when he does that and he goes the right way, it gives Netherlands so much pressure to sort of score the next one. And you could just see he saved the next one. And Argentina was just then gone through. I have to also say the performance of the referee was not up to standard. I think it was very poor. So many yellow cards were given. I even saw reports that he was sent home. He was sent home because some players deserved to walk off the pitch, no doubt about it. But when you dish out over 20 yellow cards in a tournament, something must be wrong, because you can't tell me that every single tackle is that bad. Argentina will have to manage the game better, because one thing that Netherlands taught them is the fact that if they play a different way, if Croatia can play a different way, they can unsettle Argentina. But they do have Lionel Messi, the first ever African nation into the semifinals of the World Cup. Morocco. They did the unthinkable. They beat Portugal. And what a result. And I have to say, what a performance too. A performance that had desire, determination, heart. They defended really well. And what I was impressed by is the fact that they didn't open up like Croatia. It was almost as if they were adopting the same tactics, but this time they fell a little further back and defending really well. And they were waiting for their right time to strike. And eventually, when they got that right time to strike, they get the first goal. And from then on, I mean, they take the lead and you can't see them opening up ever. I mean, to a point that even when Portugal introduced Cristiano Ronaldo and the attacking players as well, I just thought they are going to be able to open them up. It wasn't the case. And you know when you watch a game and you're like, I've seen a game like this before. Like I've seen a game where there's a team that's defending and it's defending forever, and it just seems like even if they played for the next 3 days, no goal was going to be scored. And it seemed that way. And Pepe had that huge chance at the end, was not able to take it. And then Morocco made history. I have to say this, though, as well, is when I watched this game, I got a little bit emotional. I have to say, I got a little bit emotional when you start to see the gap that perhaps South Africa have to take to get to that tournament and compete. You know, a lot of people were focused on whether Morocco is African or not. I chose not to focus on that. I chose to look at the beauty of that story, the inspiration of that story. And I realized that there's no cheating. Like there's no shortcut to getting there. You know, when you look at the investment that Morocco has made into development, into their facilities, you know, their coaches, getting them badges too as well. You know, and Pito said this, man. You know, Pito said this when he lost to Wydad, you know, when he lost to the coach of Morocco as well. He said that something is happening within that country. And you look at even the clubs on the African continent, from even the women's team as well, the club teams that are doing it in Confederations Cup, in the Champions League. Now you're looking at this national side, the way that they're playing. If you want South Africa to be at a tournament like that, that is what you're just going to have to do. It's going to cost a lot, whether we like it or whether we don't. And also another thing, we have to have players playing in elite leagues, guys. There's no other way around it. We have to have players playing in elite leagues. You're talking about a Morocco that has a Ziyech, and Mazwari as well, that's playing at Bayern, and Hakimi. I mean, we're talking about elite level players. And that's what we have to have. And I'm even talking about those that are overseas that we have there. You know, having to be on loan constantly is not going to help. Having to play in second divisions is not going to help. Even the PSL players too. You guys have to aspire to want to play that side. You have to aspire to want to be better too. And without that, you watch this tournament, you look at Ghana, you look at Tunisia, you look at Morocco, you look at Cameroon, the great victory they had over Brazil, and you just get this feeling that we're just miles away. And I hate the fact that I look around us and I know the potential is there for us to be great, to once be there. But we have to stop looking like we're doing something. We can't just take the picture because I'm next to something and I'm doing something. Like, we have to be doing it. We can't just look like we're doing something. We can't just look like we're making moves because we're still in the same spot. How is it possible that the nation that hosted the 2010 World Cup, 12 years later, we're not at the tournament? Miles behind. And I think the media has a role to play. The administration has a role to play. The league has a role to play. The players have a role to play. Coaches, you guys have a role to play. And also, fans, we have a role to play too. But like I keep on saying, because I've said it before, and credit to Morocco, congratulations to you guys. I want to see my nation do that one day. I do. But until we all come together, until we be real and look at each other in the face, we're going to just keep on missing out. At the end of the game, we saw pictures of Cristiano Ronaldo. He was in tears walking down the tunnel. I felt for him. I really did. You could feel that that's probably his last international game that he'll play for Portugal. And one thing I can't believe is the disrespect that he's getting from people. It feels like people have only been watching football for the last 6 months. You know, I did want Ronaldo to be reprimanded for the misdemeanors that he did at Manchester United. But still, I will never forget what he's given me in the last 15 years. And you know that famous saying, you don't know what you got till it's gone? I look at everybody. everybody that's seeking attention, everybody that's seeking likes and retweets, having to ask for a bucket for his tears. And I tell you, man, you're going to see what's going to happen when he's gone. You're going to see what's going to happen when he's gone. There will not be a player that will do it like him for 15 years consistently, the way he and Messi have done it, that we'll ever see again. And for me, Cristiano Ronaldo, whatever you choose to do with your career, whether you go to Saudi Arabia, whether you go to United States, whether you still play in Europe for the Champions League, you have my respect. And whatever you choose to do with the rest of your career, your legacy will forever live on. The best game this past weekend of the quarterfinals, England taking on France. A quality game. I have to say, one of the best of the whole tournament. It was a battle between England possession against France transition. And the first half belonged to France. I felt that England were not able to contain France with the speed that they have on the wings, with Mbappe and as well as with Dembele on the right-hand side. And even the Tchouaméni goal as well. I mean, that was a sweet hit. And it took Mbappe to drag the ball forward. And you could just see that Kyle Walker was just out of position at that time. And the second half, then eventually England starts to gain possession of the ball. They start to gain control of the ball. They're forcing France to make mistakes in defense as well. And you could just see with some of the goals that were conceded. Upamecano, I was just so surprised of him defending in the way that he did. But also, the game is done, right? So obviously the penalty was missed by Harry Kane, and that sent France through to the next round. I just also felt that England might have focused too much on Mbappe. So people talk about what did Mbappe do in the game. He didn't really do much, of course, but that's because they had so many players around him. But I think also England kind of forgot about the quality of a Griezmann. Forgot about the quality of a Giroud. When you look at even the cross from Griezmann to Giroud, I just thought England fell asleep there. And England have themselves to blame. They have themselves to blame without a doubt because they played so well, and credit to them. But when you have 2 penalties in a game and you're still not able to see it through, that's something that they have to look into the mirror. And also, this was England's best chance to beat France. It was. And something that I feel that people are not talking enough about is the fact that this is not France's best team, guys. It's not. Benzema's not there. Kante's not there. Pogba's not there. Nkunku's not there. Kimpembe's not there either. And there's names that I'm leaving out, but I've put them on the screen for you to see. With this side that was playing, England's side, when you look at their team, that's arguably England's best team. Kyle Walker, Jude Bellingham, Harry Kane, Saka, that's their best side, but they still couldn't even beat this France side. So if you had to switch things around and take Kane out of that side, take Maguire out of that side, take Saka out of that side, a Bellingham out of that side, and maybe have a James Ward-Prowse playing in midfield, what do you think France's best team would have done to that England team? So that's the thing I take away from it, is the fact that your best chance to beat France was it. This was it. This front side, this was it, because it's not the A side, but they were not able to do it. And also, I have to say, the ref did not help the situation. I just felt that some of the decisions that he made, especially also when you look at the second penalty that he gave to Harry Kane, why did he take so long? I just do not understand. And then it leaves us with the question, will Gareth Southgate stay at England? He's got 2 years left on his deal. I think he's going to stay. I think there's people within England, the media, that want him to stay. But you just look at him, and every single time they've gone into tournaments, they've gone to a final of a Euros, they've gone to a semi-finals of a World Cup, and now quarterfinals again. But every time he faces opposition that they are supposedly underdogs, he's not been able to win. And I just think when you have this quality pool of talent of players, do you want to leave these players in his hands for the next tournament? Because eventually they're aging. Harry Kane is 29. You know, will he be at the next World Cup? We don't know. So big decision that has to be made, but I think he's going to stay until the next Euros. What are my thoughts on the semi-finals? We have one that's tonight. Argentina taking on Croatia. Let's look at the odds. As you can see, Argentina, very strong favorites. I think that Messi magic is something that they have, and I think he will definitely be the difference. But Croatia, like I said, that midfield, very underrated. We got a Modric there as well, who looks like he can go toe-to-toe with Messi. He can run as long as Messi too. And also, let's just remember 4 years ago, Croatia hammered Argentina 3-0. 3-0. So they meet 4 years later. Could we be seeing a similar result to qualify? You can find that on Betway as well. I've gone with Argentina to qualify to the final. And then the second semi-final, Morocco going up against France. That will be playing tomorrow. Definitely France are heavy favorites. You look at the attack that they have, the players that they have. Mbappe will be looking to score again and wanting to get onto the score sheet and having to claim that golden boot. And the strange thing about it is, with France, they have to be on the front foot this time around. So they can't sit back and play on transition because Morocco is going to sit back. But Morocco's got that unity. Morocco don't concede. Morocco's got the best defense in the tournament. When it was Belgium, when they beat Belgium, I thought, but Belgium is old. When they beat Spain, I thought, but Spain don't score though. And then when Portugal came around, I thought, there's no way. I just don't see any planet where Morocco wins this game. They won it and they kept a clean sheet. So don't write them off. I think if Africa's to win a World Cup, this might be it. But to qualify, I've gone with France. And those are my thoughts for the semi-finals. I look forward to tonight. It's time for our weekly bet of the week. The purpose of this segment is to show you my bet slip in hopes that it helps yours light and green. The more accurate, the more cash you get. Let's get into it. Now, before I show you my bet slip for this week, have a look at my bet slip from last week. I was so surprised, I'm watching England against France, and eventually when the third goal goes in of the game, I get this SMS, and I'm like, how? It's gone through. So I'm feeling very confident because in this World Cup, it's kind of hard to place bets on this World Cup with the surprises that's happened, but let's go through with it. First game, Argentina against Croatia tonight. First half under 0.5. So that's me basically saying in the first 45 minutes of that game, there will be no goals. The goals are going to come in the second half. But first half, 0-0. Second game, France against Morocco. I'm saying the same thing too because I was impressed with how Morocco defends. So I don't think France will be able to breach that defense in the first half. So both games in the first half, no goals. The odds for 2 games, 6.15. That's 6 times my money back. So just from $500, look at that number. I'm looking forward to it, man. Argentina, Croatia, let's get it on. That is Bet of the Week, sponsored by Betway. Remember to practice responsible betting at betway.co.za. Until the next one, all the best. So that's it. We've come to the end. Before I go, I'd like to congratulate our under-17 girls for winning the COSAVA Cup and our under-17 boys for qualifying for the AFCON tournament next year. Congratulations, boys and girls. And for you that's watching, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you're notified for future episodes.